Hello, thank you for joining us here today. We're going to provide you with a little cooking demonstration of Asian carp. You may have heard of this fish in a negative connotation in the past, but what you're going to find out here today is how healthy, tasty, and ecologically sound this fish is. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a cooking demonstration of Asian carp and learn a little bit more about the fish and what we're currently doing harvesting on the Illinois River.
Hi, I'm Chef Christopher Ketke, and I'm very pleased to be with you today to talk about Asian carp. Now, as a professional chef, I spent my career in teaching and in fine dining, and we would get fish from all over the world. And I would hear this little bit of, rumbling about this Asian carp that exists in our rivers right here in Illinois. But I never thought much about it. I heard the word carp and I assumed, it's not going to be very good. But the reality is, we have like 52 million pounds of Asian carp in our rivers. And you think it's carp, like the bottom feeder carp, and that's the first sort of misconception. It's not a bottom feeder. In fact, it swims and eats plants just like other fish in lakes and in rivers. And it tastes a lot like kind of bass and that sort of fish. So before we get to cooking Asian carp, I think it's important to learn a little of the history about how this fish wound up in our rivers here in Illinois.
Well, in talking about Asian carps, we want to understand that it's actually 4 species of carps. Carp is a 4-letter word, but there are bighead carp, silver carp is what we're talking about today, and grass carp and black carp. These fish actually eat the plankton. They have the healthy diet as opposed to the common carp who was here longer ago, eating on the bottom and has a much stronger flavor. Part of the efforts to remove and eat these healthy fish is to prevent their spread into the Great Lakes, to harvest them, reduce their population, prevent their spread, and provide high quality protein.
So I learned that this is, not really carp, and I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting, but still I was a little bit hesitant about, is it really good or not? Now the interesting thing is, then I was served it, and I was amazed at how good it is. It's very mild, and being mild, it allows us to flavor it in lots of different ways, which we're going to see in just a moment. But aside from that, it's a species that we need to get out of our ecosystem, and so by eating it, we're actually helping out the ecosystem. Let's also take a moment to learn about how Asian carp is harvested here and distributed throughout the state.
My name is Roy Source. I'm the president and owner of Source Enterprises, and we partnered up our company with the Midwest Fish Co-op to harvest the Asian carp out of the Peoria Pool to provide an abundant and quality, nutritious food product for those in need. Our goal has been to help the environment and to provide this product so that we can help feed Illinois in the future.
It's a really healthy fish. It's high in omega-3s and a great source of protein. So it's a win-win. Oh, by the way, it also employs local fishermen. So it's a great local story. But the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the Asian carp. So let's begin with taking a look at the Asian carp. Today I'm going to use this as in a ground format, so ground Asian carp. And I like to do that because it's so simple to use. And in fact, we use a lot of other things, ground beef, etc. So why not ground Asian carp? It's delicious and fast, and well, you'll see that right now. So the first thing you'll notice, let me put my gloves on here, is that the Asian carp, when it's ground, it appears very wet. And that's kind of normal because of the fact that it's fish. And so you look at this and you kind of say, I'm not so sure what I can do with this because it's wet and it kind of falls apart. Now this is where the magic happens. And there's one thing you have to remember, and that is that when you combine salt and raw protein, something amazing happens. So let's do that. So in this bowl right over here, I have a number of seasonings. It's a southwestern flavor profile: chipotle, chili ancho, cumin, oregano, black pepper, and of course, salt, because that's the thing that's gonna pull this all together. Once the seasonings and salt are added into the Asian carp, the next step is you have to stir it rather vigorously. And notice the way I do this, I sort of hold my fingers a little bit like a spider kind of, and just go straight down into the mixture, and then I just mix. And what you'll notice pretty quickly is that Asian carp starts to become elastic and very firm. And what's happening is that the salt is combining, or what's called solubilizing, the protein, and take a look at what happens. So remember, we had that Asian carp before that was kind of all falling apart. Because the quality of protein is so good in Asian carp, this comes together very quickly and makes this beautiful sort of just elastic mixture. And now I can do a million things with this. So first of all, remember, Asian carp, mild flavor. It's truly a chameleon of fish. I can flavor it any way I want. This Southwestern recipe is only one of a million options. Just remember, if you're gonna play with this, salt plus seasonings, and then be sure that it's cold and you mix it until it is elastic, just like this. Now at this point we could cook this, but I like to take one more step with this, and that is I'm gonna put in two more ingredients. The first, I'm just gonna put in a little bit of breadcrumbs, and that'll sort of lighten up the mixture a little bit. And that other ingredient is some cold water. And the cold water with the breadcrumbs actually helps to moisten the breadcrumbs, and it also contributes to the lightness and moistness of the finished product. Now at this point, literally, there's a million things you can do with this. Remember I said before that, this is Asian carp is like a chameleon when it comes to flavor profiles, but it's also a chameleon in terms of what I can do with this. Because what I'm gonna do with this right now is I'm gonna form these into little patties, little kind of sliders. I could certainly make them into larger burgers if I want. And then I could take this and simply saute it. Or what I like to do is to then take this and put it over into some panko breadcrumbs. And I'm gonna coat both sides with the panko breadcrumbs. That's gonna give it a little bit more crunch in the pan. But remember, this is a chameleon. So I could make burgers. I could roll these up into sausages. I could put them into raviolis. I could put them into wontons. Literally, I could make meatballs. I could put them into soup. There's so many things that I can do with Asian carp. Flavor it lots of different ways and turn them into all different kinds of preparations using ground Asian carp. Now that the patties are perfectly coated in panko, all I have to do is move them right over into a hot saute pan. You could also bake these in the oven. You want to put them in a really hot oven so that they get good and crispy on the outside. And all I'm gonna do is just saute both sides of them. That's it. Now as these cook, what'll happen is that those proteins are gonna firm up beautifully, and we're gonna have these great patties, these great burgers that have a really beautiful kind of toothiness to them. Again, that's the high quality protein in the Asian carp. So we cook it till it's beautifully browned, flip it over on the other side, make sure it's cooked all the way through by the time you eat it, and well, we'll see what they look like in just a few minutes. All right, so once they're nicely browned and crunchy on both sides and it's soft and moist in the middle, I put it onto my little sliders along with a slice of tomato, a little bit of mayonnaise. This mayonnaise has been spiked with key lime juice, a little hot sauce, and some ground up green onions. And there it is. Now, again, Asian carp, I can do a million things with it. I mean, this is one Southwestern flavor profile, but I could make this Mediterranean, put a little feta cheese on there, maybe some Parmesan, some garlic into the Asian carp, basil, pesto, whatever. There's so many things that I can do with this. So the question is, why aren't we eating more Asian carp? It's local fish, farmed by local fishermen, organic, wild fish. That's high quality, clean. They're not bottom feeders. They're delicious, mild flavor. I can flavor it a million different ways. And of course, it's also helping to get this species, invasive species, out of the system that it's in to restore the ecosystem. So it's about sustainability. And this is a fish, again, mild, but also high quality protein, high in omega-3s. It's really one of those fish that checks all the boxes. But most importantly, and when you bite into this, you will know, the Asian carp is delicious.